So now that you've learned about the library within Octave and how the different elements there work, let's talk about playbooks. Playbooks are where your strategy starts to take shape within Octave. They pull together the key definitions and inputs that you've built into the library and attach a strategic narrative to them. Think of them as your strategic testing ground, where each playbook is going to represent a theme or an angle of attack that you want to test in the market. Playbooks give you a structured way to package that strategy and run it in the real world. The goal isn't to capture every single possible angle, it's to focus on one or two at a time, learn quickly, and then refine. Over time, the goal is to have your playbooks become a living record of what works and how your story evolves. So in short, the library can be thought of as kind of the raw material, and the playbooks are the lab where that material starts to take shape. So we'll have a more in-depth guide around the best practices for creating playbooks, the strategy around creating them, which angles of attack you should use. But for now, let's just quickly walk through one so you can see how they're generated and what the output looks like. So we'll go ahead and create a playbook. First, we'll want to link it to the offering. In this case, we're using HubSpot as an example just because it's a well-known company. You can choose the angle of attack, which is the wedge with which you want to message around when developing this playbook. In this case, let's just choose sector. You can think of the focal point as kind of the title for the playbook. So if we've chosen a sector-based playbook, the focal point is what is that sector? Let's just go with the first one here. A key insight is just adding a little more color around what this sector is in this case and what are some details around them and why we are creating a playbook for this sector. You want to add any personas that are relevant, as many that are relevant to this angle of attack that you're taking with the playbook. We only recommend choosing 1 to 3 use cases, ideally 1 to 2 use cases per playbook. Adding too many use cases can start to muddy the messaging, and we want to be targeted with what use case and what we're messaging about for each playbook. So in this case, we'll just accept these two that it's given us. You can choose to link a segment that you've built in your library, specific reference customers. In this case, for a sector-based playbook, you might want to link reference customers that apply to this sector. You can also link proof points as well. And if you don't have any in your library, this can be a good place to go and create them right from this playbook builder. But for now, let's just hit generate so you can see what the output looks like. Now that this is generated, you can see we have an overall description of what this playbook is, an executive summary, some insights, and the approach angle that we want to talk about when messaging here. You can also see that there are unique value props that have been generated for each of the personas that we've linked into this playbook. You can toggle them on or off or add your own as you go ahead. And finally, you can create qualification questions that you can use within our qualification agents to decide if a contact is qualified to be messaged with against this playbook. We'll take a look here, but we'll generate some good fit questions and some bad fit questions that will see whether someone should apply to this playbook. And finally, you can take a look at the different linked elements that you've loaded into this playbook and link new ones. In this case, if you had a persona that you wanted to add to this playbook, you could add it here. That's all for now. There will be more in-depth guides around playbooks, but hopefully this is a good overview of what playbooks are, how they're used, and what the outputs look like. Thanks.